And we were flipping homes in an area that is overlooked and underserved.
Obsessed people give interested people something to talk about, and interested people watch obsessed people change the world.
We like the predictability, the ability to predict that income better with new construction.
You have a foundation that helps people, or is it just your business? Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Ayesha Shelton. So excited to introduce her to you guys. She is obsessed with helping people build wealth through real estate. She's a multi-million-dollar producer out of Texas, and she's also a co-owner of a residential real estate development company. So welcome, Ayesha. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So the way I met you is that my sister helped you with your CRM, and you guys talked a little bit about your vision of helping people build wealth. And I found it so inspiring. So I just wanted you to talk a little bit about exactly what you guys do to help people build wealth.
So my husband and I are a team, not necessarily a real estate team. He is a builder and I'm in sales. So together he builds the homes and I have the ability to sell them. Where we found ourselves is in a space where we're able to service a population that's very needed with affordable housing. And so we've had the ability to pick up government contracts to build affordable housing, but our company builds everything from affordable housing to luxury custom homes as well. And so I find myself teetering between the two things of a construction company girl and a real estate salesperson, but I really try to lean into my craft as a real estate salesperson.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like your passion really is helping people who might not necessarily get into real estate otherwise. So how did this vision form and how did you actually start doing that?
So it would be nice if I thought that this would be a great idea from the jump, but really my background is in education. But I'm an avid reader and everybody loves Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad was one of those books that definitely changed my mindset on the trajectory of my life. And so when I was just a single girl having fun, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I realized that homeownership was one of the keys to building wealth. And so I bought my first home at 23 years old with no intention of anyone ever inhabiting that home with me. But it was right at 2008 when the real estate market was in a very similar place that it's in now that I was able to get a home at less than $100,000 for 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built from the ground up house for just little old me. And I always felt like that would be my first rental property. So I thought whenever I get married, my husband's going to have to buy me a brand new big house. And this little house will be, our first rental property. And that's essentially what happened. I shared that dream with my now husband, and he saw the vision for it. And so, that was one of the ways that we got into real estate and real estate investing. We saw the beauty of how a couple can come together and build a legacy for their family. And we like sharing that with other people as well.
That's awesome. Do you have any stories of people that you've helped or any, positive stories that have come out of it?
We do have a podcast called Marriage and Real Estate. We have taken a hiatus on that podcast, we haven't recorded since 2023. But we still love having conversations with couples before they get married or when they're married about how they can build wealth through real estate. And so I love meeting single women who are waiting for their, Boaz. They're waiting for their husband. And they're like, oh, when I start a family, we're going to buy a house. And I'm like, no, girl, wait. Buy a house now, and your soon-to-be husband should buy a house too. And then when you guys get married, you guys can upgrade your home and live together. And now you have 2 rental properties in your portfolio. So I love going across the country, and anytime I can share the message of, buy real estate now and build a legacy regardless of what your situation is. So that's typically one of the ways that I was able to get into the real estate industry, and also certainly something that I encourage other families or couples or single people to do as well.
It's really so powerful because that's not something that we learn in school. It's not something that we're taught to do in life. Like we're taught to go to college, we're taught to get a job, but we're not taught to buy your first investment property. So I think that's amazing that you're opening people's minds to that, because that really is just like a mindset shift that a lot of us don't get access to early in life.
Yeah. And I like to attribute my knowledge of finances to working in a bank right after college. So I remember leaving college and didn't know what I was going to do. And I got a personal banking job in one of the higher net worth areas here in the city of Houston. And the clientele that sat down at my desk and the business that they transacted really opened my eyes to, like, is this what people do with money? Because I had no idea how many ways people leveraged finances or money in order to live a better life. And so that kind of opened the door, and I kind of was able to peek in and see. And then I went to investigate further for myself. And now I'm excited about sharing that message with so many other people.
And that's great, because not everybody does that. So thank you for being so generous and, willing to help others, because that's actually really rare.
I think it's the only thing to do. I think it's the reason why we're put on this earth, is to share, what we learn and how we grow.
I love it. So I wanted to touch on that word obsessed that you used in your bio. I just heard this author, Tim Grover. I don't know if you're familiar with him, speak yesterday. He was one of Kobe Bryant's coaches, and he wrote the books Relentless and Winning. And he had an interesting insight with the difference between obsessed and interested. He said, obsessed people give interested people something to talk about, and interested people watch obsessed people change the world. So I just wanted to ask you, what does being obsessed mean to you?
It's something that I wake up every day and do, and it's not difficult. Right? Like, I don't have to go, oh my God, I have to help people, build wealth through real estate today. I don't know if you've ever heard people complain about the jobs that they have to do. The obsession that I have is I'm grateful that I get to do it, but also I wake up passionate about doing it as well. I'm like, look at the people that we've helped transform their lives because of the homes that they've bought or the portfolio that they've grown, with me as their real estate professional, or, the information or knowledge that we were able to share as a couple to other couples.
Yeah, it sounds like your why is bigger than any other, little complaint or anything that could come across your way. Like the people that you're helping matter more than anything else.
Yes.
That's awesome. So what is your big dream, like your big goal?
That's a really good question. My big goal, you hear people talk about, like, I want to help 1,000 people. And I don't know that I have a big goal like the books tell us to do, right? I think that I want to be consistently impactful on a daily basis. Am I being impactful? And when I look back at the year with my husband, because we meet every year and we kind of look back and go, like, how did the year go and where would we like the next year to go? I just want to make sure that I am consistently impacting the world around me in a positive way.
And you will, because you're on the right track. You know what you want to do and you're putting action toward it every day. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
So I see you work with your husband. And because I kind of stalked your Instagram because I don't really know you that well. So I had to stalk you a little bit. And you said that he had a vision for one of the developments and you kind of helped execute it. And that's kind of how my husband and I are. Like, he casts a vision and I'm the integrator. Yeah. And I was just wondering what the dynamic is between you two, like how you guys work together, because I really think that husband and wife teams are so powerful because we really complement each other and our weaknesses are each other's strengths. So I just want to hear a little bit about, how you work with your husband and, some of your strengths and weaknesses and how you make that happen.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so exciting. I love to hear about other couples that have that that synergy like we do. And so I am very much the visionary of our
Okay.
business and our marriage, right? I have all the big ideas. I go get all the information, and he is the integrator. So he is very action oriented. He makes sure that that vision comes to life. And man, he does it so beautifully. Like,
Mm.
he's so talented. And just as much as I appreciate him and his ability to implement, he very much values my vision too. And we talk about it like this, if a visionary alone doesn't produce anything. But what I find for integrators is that they really shoot at the hip. So they're like, oh man, I'm going to do this, pow, and this, and this, and this, and this. And it doesn't have like a succinct, well flowing, pathway. And so together we're able to, I cast this big vision, and he's the one who makes it happen. And when I think about before we were together, I always had these great ideas that never materialized. And for him, he was always really good at implementing other people's visions. And I empowered him to implement a vision for us and our family.
That's so great. And it's so true that you really can't have one without the other. We have done, like my husband and I, it's the only example that I can, go off of, but we have accomplished so much, and none of it could have happened without him, and none of it could have happened without me. And some of the, roles are not as sexy as the other roles, but you still need them to do big things. So I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. So were there any challenges that you came across with the development portion of your business?
Challenges are quite a blessing after you've made it through them, right? And after you made it through them, they're pretty tough when you're going through them, but after you made it through them. So there was a time in our business, so not necessarily in the particular development that you might see online, but there was a time in our business where we made a pivot. And we didn't know that we were going to make that pivot, nor that we planned to make that pivot, but it is why we are where we are today and who we are today. So I'm very grateful for it. But we were flipping homes, and we were flipping homes in an area that is overlooked and underserved. But it was special to us because it was where my husband had grew up. And so because my husband had this skill, we would go into these homes and we would bring them up to code. We would beautifully, people love to flip. It's not our thing anymore, but we would make the renovations, and we would make the necessary renovations. So if the foundation needed to be repaired, we didn't just put lipstick on a pig and keep it moving. We repaired the foundation. If the windows were old and inoperable, or would be better serviced by energy efficient windows, we would put those energy efficient windows in. Well, the people who came into the community to do flips didn't quite care because they didn't live here. Those were our comps. Those were our comparables. And so even though we would get a contract for the price that we asked, the appraisal would come in lower. And we experienced that on maybe about 4 or 5 flips. I always get the number wrong. And if Kevin was here, he would go, that's not the right number. I'm a visionary. I'm not the detailed one. But it was maybe about 4 or 5 flips that we experienced that on to the tune of about $300,000. And that was quite a lesson that we had to learn. But it was at that point that we decided to pivot our business to new construction because we had more control over the process. We knew what the foundation was like because we poured it. We knew what was behind the walls because we erected them. And we also were able to predict better our cost and our business expenses as well. And so now we are fully new construction development. While we can renovate and we have renovated, it's just something that we don't do anymore because of that valuable lesson that we learned. And not that you cannot be successful doing home renovations. And actually, there's higher margin on home renovations than new construction. But we like the predictability, the ability to predict that income better with new construction.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you attract your typical customer? Who is the typical person that you're trying to help? I know that you are on social media, but what are the tactics that you're using to, get your customers?
Yeah. So, as a licensed professional who is who is responsible for making sure that our homes do get sold. We build a lot in the city. And so Houston has a very huge suburban community with a lot of surrounding cities and areas around it. Our demographic in the city is probably more of single young professionals and empty nesters. And so I'm very intentional about one, my network, but also my advertising. Like I know who my target audience is. Social media, I'm not the greatest, but I'm not bad either. Like, right? Say
Yeah.
yes.
No, you're doing great.
And then, so mostly social media and then community activities. We do focus a lot on the community. I have a publicist who does some PR things for some of the developments that I have as well. So trying to get our developments and the things that we're working on in the media out as well, in the local media as well.
Yeah. And you're open and willing to doing podcasts with people you've never met before.
Yeah.
So that's always great. So can those listening, join you, support you in any way? How could they find you? What's the best way to work with you?
Yeah. So if you are a licensed realtor, who am I talking to? I have several pitches. Which audience should I be talking to at this point?
Well, I would say, because I know that you're doing a lot of work kind of with like a foundation, right? You have a foundation that helps people, or is it just your business?
I am philanthropic in nature. So when you look at my Instagram, you will see me being a part of organizations that have a very heavy giving arm. And while I run a for-profit construction company, we do a lot of things in the community as well. Because we care about the communities that we build in, because we build in underserved and overlooked communities, but we are still a for-profit business, right? And then I'm a realtor too. So like I help people buy and sell houses.
Let's say that someone wants to invest with you in Houston, like they want to buy their first investment property. So how would they get in touch with you? How would they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Ayesha Shelton. Also, the construction company is at Park Street Homes on Instagram as well. Park Street Homes. So I work with referral agents as well. So if you're from across the country and someone is moving to Houston, I'm familiar with the surrounding area. Park Street Homes is currently doing an equity crowd fundraise with Start Engine, which is a huge equity crowdfunding platform, and we're growing our company. So we've gotten national attention for the affordable housing projects that we've done in the city of Houston, and we're getting calls from all across the country that they want to replicate what we've done in the Houston area. And in order to do that, we need more funds, right? We need equity investors. We need people who want to take the ride up. And so that is also an opportunity. So startengine.com/Park Street Homes is where we're raising equity for that construction company who's doing really great things in the affordable housing space.
That's really exciting. So, and then I just want to ask you, because you said you are very philanthropic and you do get involved in the community. So how did you start getting involved in that? Like, is it through people you know? Do you just look up things on, organizations online and reach out to them? How do you go about doing that?
I am a very intentional person. And who I wanted to be, the person that I wanted to be, I created her, right? I didn't come from I didn't come from money. I didn't come from wealth. But when I worked at that bank in West U, I saw how people lived, and I thought, like, I want to live like that too. What does that look like? And what does that person look like? Where do they spend time? Who do they spend time with? How do they dress? All of those things I studied, and then I made myself available to it, right? So I'm a member of the Junior League of Houston, Junior League is a national organization where I was exposed to nonprofits and the work that they do in the community. And I found nonprofits that resonated with me, and I gave of my time, and I built relationships in those spaces.
This is so good, because to everyone watching here that is not happy with where they are right now, you literally can just make it up. You can say, no, I don't want to be her. I want to be her. What does that person do? What do they wear? Where do they go? What do they read? Who do they hang out with? And then just go and do that.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's a simple thing, but you're living proof that it works.
You can do and be whoever and whatever you want. And I know people say that. It's nice to hear from and see people who have actually done it. Yeah.
Agreed. I am so glad that I brought you on this podcast because I feel like this is an amazing message for anyone, women, men, young, old. You can always recreate yourself. You can always reinvent yourself. And I'm even inspired. So thank you so much, Ayesha, for being here with me today. And keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Same.